Hey guys, welcome to Dialed MTB. Here we are with the Transition Sentinel again. We're gonna do I wouldn't say it's a long-term review, but kind of just a regular review instead of a first ride impressions. Got some more time on this bike, and I really just kind of want to tell you guys what I think more about it than just that first ride that I did. All right, I'm gonna go through the build real quick. This is the Transition Sentinel, like I said, GX alloy build. So it's $49.99 as this is recorded, so who knows if it's going to fluctuate in price, but obviously it's a GX drivetrain, DT Swiss 1900 wheels with 370 hubs, which the hubs are great. I really like what DT Swiss upgraded on them. 1-up dropper post, so great dropper. The Anvil branded stem and bars, Code RSC brakes, and what I think is really cool about this, Fox Performance Elite suspension front and rear with a Grip 236 and that new Fox Float X, which I am a huge fan of. Check out my Fox Float X review down below. I'll leave that in the description. Yeah, so pretty dang cool bike. Transition does do lifetime warranties on the frame also. So anyways, let's get on the trail and see how this thing does. Here we are about to do some climbing. This bike, man, it's for being aluminum and 150 millimeters of rear travel, 160 front. This thing climbs well, just like I said in my first impression video. Like, that never really went away. Once again, I think it has to do with that C-tube angle. It's just steep enough to be really comfortable. All right, I don't want to spend too much time on the climbs, but like I mentioned in the video before, C-tube angle is 77.5 degrees on a size medium. It does change as you change sizes by a small amount, but I think that's super good call on Transition's part. The efficiency is not quite as good as some other bikes, I'd say, but it's not bad either. I did just ride back to back about a minute ago, swap back to this bike, a Da Vinci Troy, which has 140 millimeters in the rear and 160 up front, and that bike did climb better than this. Not like a crazy amount better, but it was noticeable. So let's wrap this up. Climbing is, I don't know, average-ish, maybe a little above average for this level of bike and being aluminum. All right, there we go. Don't worry, I got my girlfriend behind me closing the gate, but this bike has really been fun, and once again, I talked about this on my first video. I'll just talk about it once right now, but it is so dang quiet. As you just listen to that while I'm going down. But anyways, another thing I've noticed with this bike is it's not the fastest, obviously, at getting moving, but man, once you start moving, it does not want to slow down at all, and it's just such a planted bike. All these, like, I know this trail on GoPro looks like nothing. It really isn't compared to a lot of places, but it is rockier than a lot of places also. So take what you're seeing with a grain of salt. But gosh, man, this thing is so smooth. It just makes that rock, like ladder section, feel like nothing. It's pretty crazy. Oh. Through that little section, it's not quite as like maneuverable as a high tower which has, you know, quite a bit steeper head tube angle. This one has 63.6 degrees, so it is pretty freaking slack for a all mountain-ish bike, you know, if I'm allowed to use that word anymore. Yeah, so yeah, I just really wanted to get another video out on this bike on a trail that wasn't so smooth like the last ones, and kind of update you guys on what I've been thinking. Gosh, this bike, like I said, once you get going, man, it does not want to slow down. And what's crazy is usually this trail I feel the fastest on like, I don't know, 120, 130 millimeter travel bike, because these rocks and stuff aren't crazy. Like I said, they're not super wild, but Jesus, this thing just plows and keeps the speed up so high. Like, makes me, for like trails like this, if you have like a decent amount of trails like this where they're not super steep, they have a little bit of chunk, but they're not crazy, but you do spend, you know, a decent amount of time maybe in a bike park during the summer months, so a couple months out of the year, and you want a bike that's gonna be absolutely rad for that, man. I don't know, this bike is just like, it just keeps surprising you, which not many bikes that I've rode ever did that. Like, where I went down, you know, a steeper trail, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe this isn't quite for this bike, or obviously a different bike than this. But then you get on a trail like this where you're like, oh yeah, it's right at home. And then, like for this bike, it feels right at home on steep trails, rocky, rooty stuff. And then on stuff like this where it's faster and you do need to like be able to carry your speed well, it answers the question with a like a perfect score. It is pretty dang ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, honestly, on the descents, I don't think I have a bad word to say about this bike. Yeah, so maybe average on the climbs. I bet you the carbon bike is a little snappy, a little bit quicker on the climbs, doesn't get held up as much on stuff, or on the steeper stuff. But on the descents, this bike in aluminum, whew, it's pretty much just rip. All right, so let's finish this up real quick. Let's summarize it. So the downhill is pretty much amazing on this bike. Yeah, I wouldn't really change anything. It carries its speed really, really well. Maybe better than any bike I've really rode, especially when you do get in some chunk. If you don't press the brakes, it just won't even flinch. Like, it just stays so composed and so comfortable, So with that, if you like this video, like and subscribe for more like this. And like always, get out and ride.